All right, good morning and good evening, everyone. Okay, and I hope everybody is feeling good today. How's everyone?
Very good. How about you?
Are we all right? Mr. Chiang, how are you?
I'm good, sir.
We are just about to get started. We are going to go and give a few more minutes to let the other team members join in. And let's give them like about 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. Thank you guys for coming, and it's really a pleasure to see everyone. Hope we are going to learn something new today. Okay, so just if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and mute Hu Chen. But remember, this will be brief. It's going to take about 1 hour to go through the process. And we are presenters. And the 3 presenters will be Monica Njaga, okay, Esther Wamboy, and also Joseph Omondi. Okay, they are going to go ahead and show us some of the ways of how we can use GitHub to our advantage by being able to check your code and send it to the repository. Okay. Now, just remember, you don't have to send your code to the repository only when it's working. You can always keep it there, and it will always be available for you. And you can always bring it back, work with it, and then take it back. So with that said, of course, my name is George. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and let Monica and Lucy. Of course, Lucy will introduce the presenters, and then we get started. Lucy, go ahead and take over, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. Greetings, everyone, from where you're joining us from. Like George has said, we are just going to learn tips on how to upload our documents and everything that we are working on GitHub. And we have 3 people who are going to present. We have Monica Njaga. Monica will be guiding us through Jupyter Notebook IDE, Collab IDE, and a few tips on VScode. And then we have Joseph Omondi. Joseph Omondi will lead those who are using PyCharm, and just any other person who would want to start using PyCharm as an IDE. We also have Esther Wamboy, who will be guiding us through the VScode, the commands, and the VS Bash. So right now, allow me to just welcome Monica Njaga. She will introduce herself and then she will just guide us through. Welcome, Monica, and thank you.
So hi, everyone. This is Monica. Hi, from wherever you are streaming in from. And so as Lucy mentioned, I'll be walking you through Git push or code push to GitHub from Jupyter Notebook, Colab, and VScode. And if you allow me, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And one second, I have to minimize these things on the left here. All right, so topic of the day is GitHub. And I will be covering Jupyter Notebook to GitHub to start with. So I want to go ahead and move on to the next slide, and we'll cover the prerequisites that you need to have to be able to upload your code from Jupyter Notebook to GitHub. So you have to have a GitHub account for sure, number one. So we do have the desktop version and the .com version. So, and then you create a repository in GitHub. And how do you do that? So you would log into your account and then navigate to the profile icon on the top right and click repositories. And then you would click where it says click new repository. And to create a new repository, or whenever you click new, this is what you would find. And we'll be walking through this in the application itself, so at least you can put the picture to actual practice. So when you get this pop-up to create a new repository, as you can see, there is this red asterisk here. It tells us what exactly we need to go in and populate. So what you would put in your repository name, and then you have an option to put in a description. It's optional. And then depending on whether you want to share your code in public or you want to keep it private, you would check any of these two icons. And then this is also very important. You see where we say add readme, it's really important that you go in and add a readme, because this is where you would save your screenshots if you're putting a screenshot directly. And this is where you would also give description as to what exactly is this code doing. Was there a problem statement that you were trying to resolve, on and on. So now, when you get this page, you put in everything you need. Your repository won't be created until you go and click down here, create repository. And as you can see, when I took the screenshot, this is grayed out because you have to at least put a repository name. Until you do, this menu won't become available, or the create repository menu won't come available. So over to the next screen, you have created your repository, and now you have your code that I assume at this point you have already created in your Jupyter Notebook that you want to go and upload in that repository. And what do you do in Jupyter? So you navigate to Jupyter Notebook and then select the file that you want to move to GitHub, and then you download as below. How do you download? You go into files and then download as. That's why this screen, so this, when you do the download as, it then opens into another pop-up and there's all these selections. So the preference is to pick the notebook, which is the .ipynb. And when you do that, download, it's just like any other download, like how you would download any document. So it goes into your download folder, okay? And then you can call it from there. So once you've done that, then you would navigate to your github.com. Remember, you went there, you logged in, you created your repository. Now you want to upload a document in that repository. So you navigate there. And at this point, the only thing that you would find is your Readme file. And of course, your repository name, right? So when you navigate to that repository, which is your Python intro or whatever you're going to call your repository name, you would find this menu called add file. Then you go upload file. When you click upload file, I'll move on to the next screen, you're given two options, okay? And this is what you get. You either drag your file to add them to your repository. And what does that mean? You would open your downloads and just click on the file and keep your left part of the mouse clicked in, and then you just drag it, like drag and drop. Or you would choose your file, okay? This will open your file explorer and it'll take you, so it's up to you to navigate to where you have saved your file. In this case, I did put it in my downloads. So now you would go there and then pick your file. And I have to repeat this, you have to commit your changes. If you go choose your file and you go your merry way, When you come back to your repository, there'll be nothing because you didn't save it. So always remember to change or to commit your file. Now, so as I mentioned, you always need a Readme file because you want to give us some information. What is this code telling us? Was there a use case that you're trying to resolve, on and on? So when you go to Readme, this pencil that you see over here, you would click it, and then you'd be able to write whatever it is you want. And for me, I copy screenshots there. I know some people save their screenshots as a .png and upload. So either way, it works. So again, note all changes must be committed. Now, before I go to how we do it in Google Colab, I would want to demonstrate exactly how we do that, right? So number one, we want to have our GitHub account, and we want to at least have it, we want to be signed in. So that's me. Good to meet you all. Then if you remember from the PowerPoint, you go to your repositories, okay? It takes you to this place. If you remember, we also go to new. So now I'm creating a repository here. I'm gonna call it April 24 demo, okay? And then again, description is optional, but I'll just write this is a demo. I want everybody to see it, so I will put this public, okay? And please note, if I went in and removed the name, because it's a required, guess what? You see this place? It was initially bright green, now it's grayed out where I can't even go. So if I put back my repository name, oops, sorry, Control O. So April 24 demo, okay? And then I'll add my Readme file, and then I create my repository, okay? Now, how do I make sure my repository here? See, it's April 24, but then I can go into my main, whatever, in my list of repositories, and here it is, okay? At this point, we only have our Readme file. Now, and then now I have a file that I have created in Jupyter, which is this one. How do I send it to GitHub? So remember from the PowerPoint, it's file, and then download as, and then it is notebook.py, okay, IPYNB. I always call it py, I don't know why. So you do that, and guess what? So now you have GitHub demo, the notebook, right here in your downloads. And also to make sure, I also have it here in my downloads, right? It's here, the Git demo. So now that I have it there, I would go back to my github.com, okay? I know the name of my file. We talked about this menu, add file. So you're uploading this time. So you upload it and see the option that I told you, it's drag here and add them to the repository, or choose your file, all right? So I'll go choose my file, and then it is in my downloads. So there is the Git demo and open, and there it is. So it's Git demo. But if I went in and just steered away from here, this is not committed. I would have to go in and hit change, so at least I can see it, all right? So now our file is there. Now, I know George is big on screenshots. Send me the output. This is how I do my screenshots, okay? And there are different ways, as I mentioned, so you can pick what you would like. I use Snip and Sketch. So I'd go do new, and then this is the output that George would want to see. And maybe now that this is a really small code, I'll just print everything. Don't do this, follow the instructions that he gives, right? And then I would go here and copy, all right? And then we mentioned about our Readme, okay? How do you do that? You edit, okay, using that little pencil. And as you can see, our commit change is grayed out for now. Why? Because I haven't put anything. But now if I went to say, this is a demo from Jupyter Notebook, and then I'm just typing in, and then I will paste my screenshot here, okay? I went and copied and pasted, right? So now that I have put in something, it notices that there's something new. I go in and commit change. Guess what? So I would see this, and I have my file on here. And if I navigate back to my repository, which is the April 24 demo, I have my README. I have my screenshot. I have my PYNB. And what George is asking of you to do when you send him an email, copy this link, okay? Assuming this is the email that I'm sending to him, assuming I have an email, whatever. So, hi, George, this is my link. So you would just send this link, all right? So now I mentioned there are different ways of sending screenshots. You can go in and save this as a .png somewhere. So let's say this is assignment 1, if I can spell, okay, and save it, and it's in my pictures. But just because I don't want to go looking for it, I'm gonna put it in my downloads and save it. If you want to upload that, you just do the same thing, upload files, and then choose your file, and then you go to your downloads. Here is my screenshot, and then you would attach it just like any other. So when George comes in here and you send him, he would see your PNG, your that, but your email would say, my files is saved as .png and this and that. So just don't send a blank email. So that's it about uploading from Jupyter Notebook to GitHub. Now the next one, I'll be talking about Google Colab to GitHub. So Google Colab, this comes standard with Google. So how do you do it? So as I mentioned, you have already created, so a prerequisite for this, you have to have a repository created in GitHub, okay, .com. So then you would go to your Colab and then go to your file menu, and it's right here, save a copy in GitHub. That's what you would pick. And when you pick that, it sends you to this screen, because just saying that you're sending to GitHub, it wants to know where exactly in GitHub, if you have like a series of repositories, where exactly. And then, so one more thing here, make sure that you confirm your repository name and then your file that you're sending, make sure it's the right one, and then you click OK. So what happens when you click OK? It goes directly to github.com. and it shows you, so you would see where your new file is, okay? And then as usual, go into your README, do the edit, the pencil, the same way we did, and go put in some content for George to see exactly what it is. Now, do you want to see a snapshot or a screenshot that George is requesting? Yes, if that's the answer, I guess it should be yes for everybody. Go upload it as a PNG, as I did for the Jupyter Notebook, or you can add a screenshot right here in your README. Now, for us to be able to see this in action, so for now, we know that I have my GitHub open, and I'm going to be uploading everything in this April 24 demo, right? But this time we are doing Collab. Okay, it is connected, so we need to reconnect it. So we are doing Collab, and I hope everybody can see my screen. So from Collab, as I mentioned in that file, can everybody see my screen? Yes,
Yes.
no?
Yes, we are seeing your
so,
screen.
all right. So from Collab, oh, actually, how do we, I know a few people probably have used Collab, but this is the way I go around it. I go to Collab Google, okay? And then I just do Google Collab. Since I'm already logged in, it shows me all my files. But if you're new to it or you're creating a new notebook, you just go to new, and then it would give you so you would start coding here, right? Like writing Python code. But now that I already have a file, I'll just go and open my notebook, and I had saved it as a Git demo, okay? So this is what I want to send to GitHub. So as we saw, you would navigate to the file menu, okay? And then save a copy in GitHub, all right? And then it takes you to this pop-up that we already saw on the PowerPoint. Oh, and by default, I think because it's the first one, it's here. So I'm sending it to my April 24 demo. It's my git_demo, PIPNB, and then I will do okay. And notice what it's gonna do. It takes me directly to github.com, right? And here is my file. So if I wanted to navigate back, okay, to my repository, you just use this. okay? So guess what? Now we started off with the, so here it is, the Git demo. And then if I wanna create a screenshot, I would just go into here. Oh, sorry, go to Git and then do my screenshot. And this is small, so I'll just do that. And then I can save it as, oops, oh, sorry, I didn't pick the save. So this is demo 2, okay. And I would put it in my downloads, save, and then I just go to my github.com, okay. Oh, here it is, it has 2 of these. And then I will upload and then choose my file, my demo 1, and always make sure you commit your changes, all right? So now we have our file here and everything else that we had uploaded. So that's about GitHub. Now, the next one that I'll be demoing about is VScode. So on to,
Hold on, Monica.
oh, sorry.
Hold on 1 second, okay? You're gonna go and do the VS Code too?
Yes, the one from the desktop.
Okay, all right, go ahead. That's the last one you have?
Yeah, this is the last one I have.
Okay, cool, go ahead, thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so the last one that I'll be presenting is the VS Code to GitHub, okay? Now, if you're in VS Code and you want to upload without using the GitHub desktop, you would just follow the same procedure as we did in Collab, and I'll show that, or in, what is it called, Jupyter Notebook. So what are the prerequisites here? You have to have downloaded GitHub desktop and github.com, okay? And then this one, you don't really need to have created a repository because it gives you the flexibility to come and create your new repository, okay? So you would go to add, and then you can either clone from an existing one or create a new repository. So for the purpose of this demo, we'll just do the create new repository. And then when you create your repository, it gives you the same pop-up that you saw in the previous one. So it will ask for a repository name, the description, and then whether you want to initialize your README, it's always recommended. And then you would go create your repository. Until you do the create, it won't really show up on your GitHub desktop. And then once you create it, then you're going to see the name of your repository on the left side. But again, this is only in GitHub desktop. It is until you publish it that you see the repository in github.com. And how do you do that? So you would push this publish repository, and I screen here that exactly how. So you publish, and then you publish the repository. So when this action syncs your GitHub desktop repository creation with the github.com, because then you're seeing the two in the desktop and the .com. Now, once you create, so you can go into your github.com and see where your repository is, and here it is. Now, there's another menu on the GitHub desktop that now allows you to go and open your repository in your editor of choice, okay? So like now, this one works with VS Code, and as you can see here, it opens the repository in your external editor. But remember, just opening the repository, the only thing you're gonna see there is an empty repository. You would have to go in and create a Python file for you to be able to start writing your code, okay? So this is what it would look like when you create your Python file. And you can write your code and run it and save it. And whenever you do that, all the changes you do in your VS Code, because you linked it from your desktop, it is synced over to your desktop your GitHub desktop. And it also gives you the ability to now commit your changes, okay? So when you click on commit your changes, it will change and save everything to your GitHub desktop. But if you want to push it over to github.com, which is the whole purpose of doing this, then it's always good to always go and check, do you have it in github.com? And if you don't have it and you want to send it there, so right now we would only have the testing today, which is the name of the repository, then you would go and commit to main, the menu that I mentioned. And then when you commit to main, that alone doesn't send it to github.com. You would have to go and push origin. So then you can see your file in your GitHub. All right. So that's how you do that. And then, so I'll quickly go in and demo that. So as we mentioned, you have to have your github.com, and I have it here nice and stood up. And I also have to have my GitHub desktop, which is this icon here, okay? And you have to be logged in to GitHub desktop. How do I know I am logged in? It's because I can see my picture here, which is what I have in my github.com. So I want you to notice right now, we have no local changes, open in repository. This is all we have. So as I mentioned, we'll go in here, click on this and add a new, create a new repository. We're gonna call it April 24 or 2, okay? And then this is a demo, all right? And then we'll initialize the README, and then we'll create the repository, okay? And as you saw in the, if you remember from the PowerPoints, so now we have created our repository in our GitHub desktop. That's why you can see this April 24 here, okay? But if I go to my github.com, which is here, you still cannot see that repository, April 24 underscore demo, and I can refresh. It's still not there. And the reason for that is because we haven't really published it. So how do you publish it? Click on the repository, and then you publish the repository. Make sure it's the one that you want to publish. And then, as you remember, I put in this description, so it takes it along. And then there is this here that you click on and off. If I keep it on, this, if I unclick it, I want to keep it public. So I go ahead and publish repository. And now at this point, if I go back to my github.com and do a refresh, I've published that repository. So here it is. And at this point, it only has my README file. So now I'll navigate back to my GitHub desktop. And as you can see now, it gives us the flexibility, what we had before. So to open this in Visual Studio. And what are we opening? It's our repository, which is right here. So if I click here, it takes me to VScode, okay? And as you can see, I have my, I'll remove the welcome page. So I have my April 24. So I'll just go and create a new file and call it demo2.py. I have to give it a .py because it's a Python file. And then let's say I'm just doing a print demo2, okay? I save this. I just did a control whatever, and then I run my code, okay? So I can get my output. What did I do wrong? Okay, yeah, it's printed,
nice,
sorry.
Sandra.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I print it. And now when I go back to my repository, right? Guess what? It automatically syncs it, my desktop. So here it is, here is my demo2. And as you can see now, I have this option to commit to main, okay? I'm committing the new file. So I'll do commit to main. And I said, when you commit, it still hasn't sent it to github.com. So if we refresh this, you still don't have the file here. So how do I need to get that? You just push origin, okay? And once it's done, if I go back to my github.com and I refresh, here is my demo. If you want to upload your screenshot, you just take it, save it, edit your README file, and send this link to George in an email. So that's it for me. And I will hand it over to Joe, who will send us to the next IDE. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Monica. Let's keep cool. We'll have questions after all of them are presented. So right now, allow me just to welcome Joseph. Joseph, come in, please. Thank you.
Hey, Lucy, thank you. Hello, everybody. As you guys have heard, my name is Joseph, and I will be presenting this same process that Monica just presented, but in regards to PyCharm. PyCharm is another IDE as well that some of us are now using. So I will be presenting a process on which we use, or process on which you can follow with the same design into GitHub. So let me pull this up. All right, thank you. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, Joseph, your screen is clear.
Okay, thank you. So as I had stated, I will be presenting the same thing Monica presented, but in regards to PyCharm. So we do have prerequisites as well, but it's more so similar to what Monica presented. So you have to have a GitHub account, you have to be logged in as well, and you have to have an existing file created in PyCharm, as well as having a repo created in GitHub. And you have to sign into PyCharm. You have to connect your PyCharm with GitHub, and with that you have to sign in. So the first thing, like I said, you have to create a file in GitHub. And Monica already presented us on how you're supposed to do that. You can make your file private, or you can make it public, depending on your requirements. So whenever we do PyCharm, whenever we are pushing a code from PyCharm to GitHub, we run commands. So we use the PyCharm terminal, which is the same terminal that we have on different computers or different machines. And for us to do that, you have to have the SSH or the HTTPS path, which is what presented here. So if you look at the top, the highlighted top, that's the SSH key that we'll be using, the SSH URL that we'll be using to be able to push that. And then right underneath it, we have the commands. So once you create the repository, these commands are the page that presents itself in this format, whereby you'll have the SSH URL, and then also you have the commands down displayed at the bottom there, whereby once you run these commands. So some of these commands you don't need to run them, but some of them you do need to run them, and we'll do that. And once you run these commands, then you should successfully upload your file to GitHub. Then the next thing is, as I had said, you have to connect your PyCharm to GitHub. And to do that, you just have to go to your Python settings or Python preferences, in this case, if you're using a Mac machine. And under the preferences, you have a version control menu. And if you go on there, you should see GitHub. And under GitHub, there's a plus sign up there that if you click on, it gives you the option to log into GitHub. So you have two options. You can log in with your username and password, or you can log in with your with a token if you have a token. So whichever one you have, you can go ahead and connect. And once you connect, you'll see your profile on there as well. As you can see mine connected on there. So with that connection, once that connection is successful, you should see on the far right, there's a couple buttons, there's two arrows on there, the blue arrow, the green check mark, and then the green arrow. Once the connection is successful, you should be able to see those on there as well. So those do help you with uploading or pushing a code as well whenever you need to. And the next thing, so first process, you have to create a project, which pretty much like we know how to do that. Then you have to create a Python file, same process as Monica had stated. Once the project and the Python file is created, remember when you're creating a Python file, it always has to have the .py tag, just to ensure that it's a Python file. Then once that is created, we can go to GitHub, and then we can pick out these commands that we need to run. So we always have to make sure that we create the project first, create the repo in GitHub, connect the two, connect your PyCharm to your GitHub, and then now we have to do the upload file. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate how we can run the process. So on here, I have my PyCharm. So I have a file already created. And to do that, all you have to do is you can right click on the project, new, and you can do Python file or you can do file. So the only difference with the two is if you do create a new file, you have to ensure that the tag, once you put the name, so if I was to do, let's just do trial, I have to make sure that I do a .py. But if I was to do just, let's say, if I pick the Python file, all I need to do is just do a name. So I'll just do trial, and that should give it the .py tag on it. So that's the only distinction with the two. So I always just go with the .python file because it already puts it as the tag on there for you. So I have a test project created, and all I need to do here, let me just do a print statement. And I can run this. Okay, so the file ran successfully. So now if I go into GitHub and create, I already have a file created, or I'm sorry, I have a repository created, but to do the same process of creating a repository, I think we already have that explained. What you have to do is just go to your profile, do the name repo, and you can give it whichever name that you want. So since I have this repository created, you can see on here, we have the SSH URL that we'll be using, or we have it on here, down here as well. And then we have the commands highlighted down here as well. So these are the commands that we need to run for us to be able to upload the file from PyCharm to GitHub. So to do that, the first thing we need to do is go to the terminal command. So PyCharm does have the terminal command. So if you look at the bottom of the screen here, we have the terminal command. Click on that, and we have the terminal command open. So we have to initialize GitHub. And with that, you have to run the git init command. So I had it already running, so it just reinitializes. Then I can run another command on to check if there's anything in the staging environment. So the staging environment is where everything is put before it's committed and pushed. And to see that, I can do a git status command. I can run a git status command. So if I have anything on there, if I have anything that is in the staging area waiting for it to be pushed, you'll see on here, it will be highlighted in green. So since I don't have anything, there's nothing on there. The only thing that I have is already deleted. That's what we have on there for now. So to add something to the staging area, you do git add, and then you add the testing, the file name. So in this case, I have the test project. So I'll do test project.py. And then now we can do a git status again to see that. So now you see that we have test project added to the staging area, and it's highlighted in green. So that means it's successful. And then now we'll do a commit. So we can commit that file, and to commit the file, we do git commit -m, and we just add a comment on there. So this comment can be anything, but you have to ensure that you can either have single or double quotes on there, but you have to add the git commit -m and then single or double quotes and put the whatever you want to add on there as well. So whatever goes in the in between the quotes will be displayed in your GitHub as the comments for that commit. And that's gone. So we push that. So it's committed successfully. So we have one file changed and then the 2 insertions. So now we need to set a path on which we want the file to be uploaded to. And that path, if you need the path, you can come to your GitHub whereby we have the path here. So this is the command that we need to run. You can come and copy this command here. So it's git remote add origin. So git remote add origin. So we are adding the remote path to the origin, and then add that. Okay. So now we see that. So that's successful. And to verify that, we can do a command of git remote -v. So that shows you what the origin is. So where we are pushing and where we are fetching the file from. So if you look, we have the origin and the origin. So they push them as the fetch. So that means that we have set the path correctly. So now the next thing will be to do a git commit. So git commit issue origin main. Okay, sorry. So sometimes, sometimes we face these issues whereby it doesn't commit successfully, and there's ways you can override that. So we can do git commit head, origin head main. Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry, git push. It will be the git push origin head main. So once that is successful, once we run the git push origin head main, so this is like a force push. It forces the file to be pushed to GitHub. So once it's pushed, if you can look on here, we have the success. So it's 100% success. It's 100%. Everything is done. Everything has been pushed on there as well. So if we go to your GitHub and do a refresh of the page, you'll be able to see the project file on there. So here is our test project. And we have it on there. And now if you needed to add a Readme file, you can go to the add Readme file and add everything that you need to add on there, depending on your project schematics or whatever it is that's needed to detail what it is your project has to do with, and submit it. And to do the same thing, so pretty much as Monica explained, if you need to submit your file to George, you just go in there and then copy that and submit to George for further review. So this gives a high level process of how we actually push the code to GitHub from PyCharm. Thank you. I'll pass it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. That was really cool, having you master all the commands. That gives us the motivation that we can also master them the way you have. And everybody in here, I know you're liking it. So allow me now to welcome Esther Wamboi. Esther, karibu.
Esther, can you unmute so we can hear you? Esther, can you unmute? Can you hear?
Oh, sorry, I was actually speaking the entire time. Hi, I'm sorry. I was just saying that I guess by now you've seen all the Git commands and stuff like that. So for me, I will want us to understand what Git is actually, because we actually like everything we're doing is based on Git, this system of software that's called Git. So Git, actually one thing you need to realize is that Git is not GitHub. like Git is totally different from GitHub. So Git is a software that is mainly used for tracking changes you make to either code or documents or files, different kinds of files, not just code. We use Git for a lot of things. Just it's the terminology is version control. So we can have different versions for different documents or files. So also, Git is very important. It's kind of always used in software development space for collaboration, which I will explain. So the first thing you need to have Git installed on your computer. And if you don't, this is a link that you can use to install Git. The difference now, what GitHub has done is that GitHub has the creators of GitHub build a cloud-based system where guys can upload their Git repositories. We also have some other cloud-based systems. One I know of is Bitbucket, but the main one is GitHub, and it's actually an industry standard. So how does this Git work? Sorry. I think you've seen from what Joe was doing. What he did first was he created a directory. Then he staged. I know you're like, what is he doing now? So this is now the process of how Git works. This can be mostly works on your computer. So you need to create a directory, and if you'll notice, we don't kind of use like folders and stuff. If you're used to Windows, we say folders, but in this space we use directories, and you'll understand why. We have now the working directory. Now that's the folder you create. Like normally, like when you start your project, you create your folder, do assignment 1, like that. Shall show you. And now when you have work you've done, you need to stage it. Now to stage it is like preparing it to be saved. So once you stage it, you save it. Now that's now the committing. And then once you commit, now you push to GitHub. So that's when now you have to install. And I've shown you the link. Then you need to configure Git in your machine. So you need to have a username and an email. And I would highly recommend you using your username, the username that you use for your GitHub, and the email that you use to register your GitHub account to make it easier while pushing your files and whatever you want to push to GitHub. That will really make life easier for you. If you don't do that, you'll always have to authenticate most of the time. So, and then after configuring it, that's when we now do the staging and we do the committing. So always make sure like you have seen with the other, like with the graphical user interface, this is basically the same thing. Don't like get scared of all these things. It's just that you're writing it out. You're not having like icons and stuff that are kind of helping you out. And it's actually for me, so for some of you guys, you might want to see what happens under the hood, and this is the best way to do that. So after doing that, that's when we save and push. And as well, you can also get the same files and code and everything from GitHub and take it back to your computer now by doing the pulling. So now I think the diagram makes a lot of sense. So you push to GitHub and pull from GitHub. So now, when we talk about the command line, when you install Git, if you have or if you will notice that it comes with an emulator. Let me call it. If you actually install it on Windows, it comes with an emulator known as Git Bash. But if you're using Mac or a Linux machine, it will be very easy for you. The terminal is kind of the same, but the terminal, the command line on Windows is different and is not what is recommended by Git, because from my understanding, I know the person who came up with Git or the same person who came up with Linux, which uses bash commands and kind of related and stuff like that. So I would advise you to master a few of the basic bash commands, which I have listed. There are so many more. These are like a really tiny fraction of the commands you would want to know. And if you want, there's a link here that I actually like started learning with, and it's a link to a Linux distribution known as Ubuntu, which uses bash commands. It's really good, and you'll learn a lot and you'll find it really interesting. So when you're working with GitHub, now I said we can pull the documents from GitHub. So pulling, we can either do the git pull, then we can do the git remote add. If you saw what Joe did, what he did, he was like he has created a repository in the cloud, but he wants it on his local machine. So what does he do? He adds a remote repository to his local machine. We can also clone. Clone is like creating a replica. So you can create a replica of the remote repository that's on GitHub and replicate it to your machine. So you have it both on GitHub and on your machine. And everything that you do on your machine, always make sure that you push it to GitHub. Why is that? So your computer might crash. All your stuff is on your laptop or on your desktop, crashes. You lose everything. But if you had put everything on GitHub, it's safe because it's on the cloud. So, and if you want to show people like the way we are told to send our assignments, you see, that's now the essence of having GitHub. It's a sharing platform, a collaboration place where you can, when you get deeper into it, you'll notice things like pull requests, issues, forking repositories, and stuff like that. So with Visual, personally, I am one who's not committed to a particular IDE, but I kind of love Visual Studio. Monica has mentioned how to do it using GitHub for desktop. That's the graphical user interface for Git Bash. Git Bash is the command line interface. GitHub for desktop is the graphical user interface. I will just want to mention, you can either do what Monica did or what Joe did, or something different. VS Code is that versatile. So if you look at VS Code, I think I just mentioned it, but I won't go really deep into it because there's another way that you can push, pull, add, commit, and stuff, because Git is integrated into the IDE itself. So for now, I would start by now doing, once you install Git on your machine, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that I hope you can see my terminal screen, my black screen, the screen that other people don't like using.
No, I'm good.
You can't see it?
You're still in the PowerPoint on my end.
Okay. Okay, fine. Let me share this. Can you see it now?
Yeah, right there. It's good. Go ahead. Looking good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the Git Bash comes with this. I'm using a Windows computer, but if you're using a Mac or a Linux, you don't have to use Git Bash. Just use the terminal on your computer, or how you access the command line. So as I was saying, once you install Git, if you want to know that actually I have Git installed on my computer, you do this. You run this command. So you run this command, and it will.
Version. VER.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, cool. Okay.
Git version. It will give you the version of Git that you have, and so I know I have Git installed on my computer. Then you can do the Git config, but mine has been configured. I can show you the configurations for my Git. So if you want to check your configurations, remember I had said the Git config, then I did -- global. These are global configurations. When you hear the word global, when you see like the word global in any kind of thing, it means it's not at worldwide. It just means you can use it anywhere. Like this, it's not restricted to any particular environment. So if I list them, I see this is my GitHub email and my GitHub username. Okay, so now here I said we need to learn how to do bash commands. So the first thing you need to know is where am I in this command. So you do path to working directory. So I am in my C drive, users, user, okay? So I know if that's the same place I might go if I want to do it on my computer, I'll just go to, it's basically the same thing as this. So on my command line, here is where I am at. On user, I'm actually here. This is where I am at. Command line, graphical interface. So it's not something really complicated. It's just understanding where you are at. So I'll close this. So for me right now, I want to go to my desktop. So what do? I change the directory.
CD.
So the
CD.
directory and go to desktop. Okay. So once I go to my desktop, I want to create a folder. And like when you do, so you know how to create a folder? Normally we do new folder. But when you're using command line, we do make dir, make directory. So I can call it git demo.
Space it out first. Demo.
Can call it git. Okay, so after I do that, if I now go, I can actually just minimize this and we see whether I have, or I can just go to my desktop. You see, I created this folder. It's actually empty. So that's how you work with the command line, and it just translates to the graphical user interface. So in this folder, I want maybe to create a file. So the command to create a file is that a file, we can call it like something like what? Hello something dot, let's create a Python file, hello.py. Then this, it doesn't really recognize it, but let's just do the extension. And if you want to confirm that we have our file created, if I refresh this, wow. Oh, the file, sorry, I didn't, now that's where I didn't like, this file has been created on my desktop, not in this folder. If you want to see where it has been created, here it has been created here, but I didn't want it to be created there. So what do? I can either remove the file, but I don't want to go into those commands, but we have to now go into the folder that I have just created. So we need to change the directory. You need to go inside git demo, and that's where I create that file. So if I want to confirm that that's what I've done, I still go into the git demo. And here, my file is here. So with that, I can use, let me try and use code. If I want to open Visual Studio Code on here, I can do that. Can use Visual Studio Code to open that file. Take a while. So as I mentioned, there's here on Visual Studio Code, there's a way, this means, can you see these branches? Like these are kind of showing Git source, version control. So these are, like you can see, like now my file is not set up for version control. So we'll do that sometime. So let me like write something like this, print. print something simple that we want to. Yep, and then let me save it. So I can, because I know my, let me confirm whether it's still running. I know my terminal, I can clear my terminal. You can do a Control L and clear it. So I have created a file, I have saved it, I have created it, but now I want to do the Git process. You remember the first thing we need to do in Git is to file. So we need to make it ready. If you've seen on my VS Code, if you see when I go and look at the source version control, it says it's not being tracked by Git. It does not have like Git features and anything like that. So I want to now make it possible for this file or for this folder to be tracked by Git. So I will go back one step. One step.
Your code is being hidden by the record icon. You don't mind showing.
My
Your
what?
code is being hidden by the record icon in Zoom, so probably you could just drop there.
I can't get it. Like it's being hidden by what? The black thing.
Sorry, I meant I couldn't see the code because the Zoom record icon was hiding it. But if you where it is right now, it's okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So if I do cd dot means cd change dots, you'll understand dots and stuff are important when you're going back a directory. So I need to so I needed to initialize actually I didn't need to do even the cd dot. It was actually fine. I was actually in the right place. This is the directory that I need to initialize Git demo. So I need to do a Git init. So you see, if you want to know that your folder has been initialized by Git, you'll see this master. But in recent times, they want to drop the use of the name master, which we'll see because you normally see the word main on GitHub. That's what we use. You'll see a lot of master because the main thing was changed recently. But if you see master, like that always means like the main branch. You normally see the thing branches and branches. So GitHub, you can even do many branches of your code when you have like a lot of software. So we have initialized it. So if I don't know if I can do this on VScode, but it's okay with that. Let's just do the command line, but we've initialized it. Just know when you see the master thing. So, and then if I want to look at the files that are present here, I can do a list of the files. So this is the file hello.py that's in here. So, and then you remember when Joe was doing the Git status, he wanted to see is there any files that are being tracked, what's up with my folder and stuff like that. So if I see my Git status, it means I created this file hello.py, but okay, it's there, but it's not yet I've not yet started tracking it. So that's why we now stage it. So once we stage it, we do a git add. Then we add the file that I want to add. So if I do a git status again, if I do, sorry. If I do a git status, I'll now see, once you see it's green, initially you can remember it was red. It was like, hey, this is warning, but now it's kind of green. So it's like, okay, now you're good to go. We can continue going. So, but now this hello.py, okay, I've staged it, but I haven't like added it. I haven't made the change because what is the change that I did? I created a file. That's the process that I want to stage. Creation of the file, hello.py, and adding in text. So what do? I commit. I commit now that change that I did. So we do a git commit. -m stands for like message, then you write a commit message, and we will see why we need these commit messages, and they have to be like relevant so that when you're going back to your logs, because you have git logs that tell you that you're like, okay, this is what I did. So I can just say added file. Supposed to be a double D, added file. So
Remember, you have
so many
triple
M's.
M's. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so create mode like shows like it's added, the file has been created. So file one change, one insertion is that line that I created one line. So it's one insertion and the file has been created. So let me clear the screen. So now we have at the moment my folder git demo is on my local machine, and I want it on GitHub because I written my code. I want it on GitHub. So on GitHub, what I did earlier just to save on time, because Monica had showed us how to create a repository. But what I do, I didn't initialize it with a Readme file because I wanted to show you this process. So if you notice what we have done, we have initialized it, we have added whatever we needed to add it, and have committed. But now you remember I told you most of the time Git is they want us to be using main as the main branch instead of master. There's a story around it which you can go and Google it. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the right
Okay, I'll explain it later.
yeah.
Yeah. Something
So I
to
can
the slave, the black people,
yes,
masters.
yes, yeah. So you paste, I just pasted it because I didn't want to write it. I'm just lazy. So you now change the branch to main. So you see it has changed to main just with this simple command. It has now changed to main. Then what do I do again? Because this is something that Joe has showed us. So I think you guys are kind of familiar with this now, the git remote. Git remote, now I copy this. Sometimes this is the life. You don't have to write all the commands and just copy some. So git remote. So what does this mean? It re-adds this remote. It adds this location, this link to my local. So they kind of are connected. So that's what we're trying to do here. So once I've done that, they're connected now. But now what do I want to do? I want to push it now to this remote. I want to push it there. So I do a git push. If you see, even GitHub itself, they actually tell you. And sometimes this dash u upstream origin main, you can do it, but you don't have to do it all the time. You can just do a git push. For initially, for the first time, I think it's advisable to do it upstream main, but not all the time. So I paste it here. So it's running, then it gives me an error because repository is not found.
It
Oh,
was missing in the
You
last
missed,
one.
you missed a T.
yeah, T, yeah. So that's the thing about, I know some people tell me they have errors, they get scared, and sometimes I have to reset. This now. Remove. What's the command to reset this? Joe, what was that command that you did get? Reset?
What command are you looking?
Reset head, capitalized.
Oh, yeah, head. Remote, right?
So just reset. So to root one stage, correct?
Let me see now if I do it.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. You want to remove the remote?
The remote, yeah.
Okay, so it's git remote. Just no capital.
Lowercase. Always lowercase.
Git remote. Remove origin.
Oh. Okay, after the struggle, that's it. I have reset, and so this is the command. I will never forget it. Git remote, remove origin if you like do a wrong thing, like what I just did. Then now we now push it upstream. So we push it upstream.
Esther, how long do you have to go? Did you know?
I think this was the last part I needed to push it.
Okay, thank you.
So I think if we reload this, if you reload this, you see now my file has been pushed. So the last thing I would like to show was the Git clone. So I can now get a repository that I created on GitHub. I can get this repository here on GitHub, and I want to put it on my local machine. So what do? I take this link, copy it, then go back to my terminal, and I want to now clone it to add it on my desktop. So what I'll do is just do a git clone, and then I paste that link, and we will see that that folder has been added to my desktop, and it just contains a readme file. So that's how we work with Git, from the terminal, from like working from your local machine to sending it to GitHub, and from getting it from GitHub to your local, from GitHub to your local machine. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Esther. I didn't know you had mastered all these commands, and I'm just been here admiring what you're doing. And I think this is so good. So I'll open this for questions for anybody who has a question, and later then I'll just give it back to George. So you're welcome for any question.
It's your time, guys.
Okay, my question is,
Mhm.
from I ask, she said once you've pulled the file from the GitHub, it is saved on your notepad, so to speak, the Readme file. So how do you use the code on the Readme? Do you copy it and paste it on your IDE if you want to make some changes on it?
Okay, so your question is directed to who and at what point? Because I'm not sure I'm understanding it.
Yeah, the last part that she did when she pulled
Okay.
the code from the GitHub.
And this is Ochieng, right?
In a local machine. Yes, this is Ochieng speaking.
Okay.
Yes, Western.
I'm sorry. We just want to make sure that we get your question to the right individual.
Okay. Yes.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Yeah.
So Esther, there's the last step. You said you pull your code from the GitHub to your local machine, and then it's saved on the Readme file. So once it's there, how do you? I know it will be in a sort of a code form. Is it usable as it is? Yeah, if you want to make changes on it.
Yeah, sure. You can do it in a lot of ways. You can just edit it in a notepad. You can edit it on VScode. You can edit it on any text editor that you have, because README files are written in Markdown, or sometimes people use HTML. So you can you can use Markdown language to edit it on any text editor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other person? It is questions time. So let us just like get to ask all the questions that we have.
Good morning. This is Sarah. I'm directing this to Monica on GitHub Collab. I got a question. When I press on the copy to GitHub, it tells me could not fetch branches, view branches on GitHub.
It's something you can share your screen so we see what you're seeing. Is it possible?
Oh, I'm using two different computers unless I log in the.
Okay.
I can still log in the same computer and then share the screen. Give me a minute. Thank you.
Monica, you understood that question? Maybe she has more than one branch. The main, we'll see what she's saying.
No, George, do you mind taking that? I'm trying to control traffic on this side.
Okay, no problem. I'll take it. If she can show us the screen, then we'll be able to figure that out. Meanwhile, while we're waiting on her, somebody else can jump in, ask a question, and then we go. And then when you're ready, just come back and we'll answer you as to. Anybody else? Any question?
Hello?
Yes, please.
I just have one question. The last part, when you're pushing your...
Is that John?
Oh, yeah, this is John.
Okay. You say you
just have one, I'm John.
Yeah.
I just have one question. The last part, when you're pushing your file to the repository you created on GitHub, I see two commands. So that is one, you say git push origin master, and then there is one git push up origin main. So like maybe you can just clarify on that.
This is direct to Esther?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Esther, go ahead, please.
Master, do you want the difference between master and main or upstream?
Maybe you can start from there. Just a brief clarification on both.
Okay. With Git, we have branches. So you can start your code, work on it, then decide, no, I have another idea. I can create another branch. So what happens is when you're working with the first time you're working with it, you have a main branch, like the original branch. So initially, for some time, since Git was ready in 2005, I guess, they used the master. They used the name master to refer to the original branch, like the main branch. But recently, they have made a change from the name master to main. So master and main basically refer to the same thing. It's just that they are now like trying to phase out the name master. If you look at code that was written some years back, they use master. But in recent times, we use main. It's basically one and the same thing.
Okay.
I
So,
don't know if I've answered you.
yeah, so this came about after the Black Lives Matter. And I think it's something to do with the slave thing. It's almost like it has a negative connotation. Yeah. If you're into hardware, like if you have two hard drives, there's one master and there's a slave. But when you think about it, it doesn't go very well with some of us. So they decided they want to change that, if that's what you're asking for. So now instead of talking of master, you probably want to talk about the main. Okay.
Thanks.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, John. Anybody else? Any question? Any more question? I mean, feel free to ask. We have a few more minutes to go.
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead, Sarah. You can share.
Um, uh, uh, I'm trying to maximize my Zoom.
If you have any difficulty, let me know. So, okay. All right. Yeah, cool.
I already have a repository, so say save to GitHub.
Okay. All right.
This is my assignment in in my Collab. So, and I've already made a repository, the same name, though I've made several of them because I didn't know which one is working, but
Okay.
it's all four.
Okay.
So when I go say could not fetch branches, view branches on the GitHub.
Okay. Do we know if we have this branch already?
Or a repository?
Oh, no, that repository is there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and try to pick another repository. Let's see what it does. No, don't click OK yet. Go on the drop down up here, repository. Click a different one. Yes, any other, right? Could not fetch branches. Hold on a second. That let me see if I can get this screenshot, okay? And then I'll answer your question. I might not be able to answer right now immediately for you, but definitely. You say your name is Sarah?
Yes.
What's your last name?
Gathogo. Gathogo.
Hey, send me a message, inbox me, okay? I'll answer this and then I'll put in the group. Everybody will be able to get it. Okay.
Oh,
Now, while you're here, something Monica probably missed. She did this part perfectly. Whenever you're doing a commit, every time you always want to make sure you do put a message for your commit. Now the message could just be describing, let's say you did a code yesterday. You say, hey, this code is for blah, blah, blah. And then you go back and pull it back today, and then you need to push it again. You just have to comment. So each time you come back, you have to put a comment. And that comment goes a long way. For example, if you submitted assignment 4A, assignment 4A might not be the same as, or might not have the same contents as assignment 4B. So you have to put some kind of comment to explain what assignment 4A is doing, or what assignment 4A is going to be doing, which is not going to be done by assignment 4B. So always make sure is that you have to create, you have to commit, you have to put a commit message. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any other question? This one I'll answer for you, but I have to do some research on it.
Well, thank you. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else with any question?
I have a question for Joseph.
Yes, please.
He was to show us. He didn't show us how to commit to GitHub using the arrows in PyCharm.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Joseph, are you still there?
Yes, George, I'm still here.
Okay, you want to go ahead and probably share your screen real quick. You see the right top corner, there should be 3 arrows.
Yes.
I think that's where Liz is talking about. Yeah, go ahead and show them.
So, yes. So this is what you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what happens is, so you have these 3 options. So the first one is an update project. So what update project means is you already have a file in GitHub. So let's do, if I had a file in GitHub, like this class, sorry. So if I had a file in GitHub, let's do, let me open GitHub. Sorry, I'm just uploading a new one because the other one, I think I removed it already. Just give me a second here.
Okay, while you're doing that, I have an answer for you, Sarah. If you're still there, I'll probably come after Joseph, and then I'll answer your question. Are we all right now, Joseph?
Yes, I just need to run a commit on here. Initialize terminal this. Let me just restart this PyCharm real quick. Give me 1 second. Terminal is acting up. Okay. Okay, so it's on. All right.
Okay, Sarah, I have solution for you. It's on our forum. Okay. Normally, anytime you create a repository, make sure it's public and it has a Readme file. If you do that, then you should not have a problem. But again, we might need to revisit that. I'm not really sure if you had a Readme file and if it was public. Posted.
So, George, what will be causing this error here? So for some reason, I'm not able to actually log it into Git. So I'm not able to add it to Git right now.
All right, so do you, okay, you have the right privilege, of course, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think don't worry about it for now. And if maybe I can, you use the PyCharm, right?
Yes.
So let's go back to Liz's question without necessarily pushing anything. Now, Liz, we have those among Joseph.
Yes.
Okay, just you see the one with a checkbox like a tick means you commit. The one with the update means you bring it to your local from the cloud or from a remote location. So if you are a developer and let's say at the end of the day, every day you probably want to check your code. You push it. Okay? You can push it whether it's working or not. And then when you come back, you want to pull it back and then work on the solution. I mean on the work on the project, which is going to be a work in progress. And then whenever you're ready, okay. Can you highlight that, Joseph, again? Okay. So whenever you're ready, you can pull it back in the morning, do whatever you need to do, and then push it back. Okay. So push it back, the arrow facing up. The arrow facing down is to pull, the arrow facing up is to push, and the one in the middle is to commit the changes. Anytime you commit the changes means you are actually making the changes to be able to have a new version. So version control helps you, it basically helps us have different versions of the same software or the same code base. So each time you pull, it's actually pulling the same code, but giving it a timestamp and some kind of hash token, so that it could be the same, but it's going to be different in terms of the timestamp given. So if for some reason you maybe made a mistake and you want to, let's say, call it back, you can always call it back. If for some reason, say the house, let's say your office, for some, let's say earthquake or something happened, you can still go back and get your code. So it's always a good thing to use GitHub for duplicate and also for version control, and to be able to make sure that your work is consistent. And you can also be in a collaborative environment. Like Monica stated, if you can get your way around Collab, Collab will probably need you to have a Google email address. Collab, you put your code in there and you can actually share with anybody, including me. And I can go in your code and look at it, make changes, and be able to, on your side, just be able to refresh and see the changes I put in there. I don't know if that makes any sense. So it's the word collab is short for collaboration. So if you're familiar with Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Notebook will be to your local machine as Collab is to the cloud. So Collab, whenever you're working with it, it's actually in the cloud, and it's hosted. The machines are hosted by Google. And at one point, if you go to the extent of like doing very serious programming in terms of machine learning and deep learning, Collab has support for GPUs. GPUs are very high performance machines, something which might not be available for you if you have just your laptop. So if you're collaborating with other people, you're doing this in a big environment, in a company, you can push it in the cloud. Collab will be your workhorse. Okay. I hope that answers that question. But again, if it does not, let me know so I can elaborate it further. But again, if anybody has any question, please feel free to ask. This is your time. Any other question? Okay. So if you don't have any question, I understand, and I really appreciate everybody coming. I hope this session cleared the air. I don't expect everybody or anybody to just take and run with it in terms of like get to know it from the onset. This video is recorded. We are going to go ahead and make sure that Esther is going to be the editing guru in this one. So she'll edit it and then put it out there on YouTube so that we can share. I highly suggest that you don't have to sit down and watch the whole video. You just want to go, let's say, section for where Monica was talking. And that's what you really want to do. You can pause, forward, rewind. Pause, forward, rewind until you get it. Okay? If you really just want the section whereby Joseph was talking, then you can say PyCharm is what you use. Then you go to that particular one. Now, if you have any other IDE which we never talked about, and you think like you need some help with, feel free. I'm available, inbox me, and I'll be more than glad to help. Okay. And to just let you know, I'm very proud of my students. Okay, Monica, okay, Lucy, okay, Esther, and Joseph. You guys did a great job. You know, and that's the legacy. So if I fall off the surface of the earth today, I know people will be able to cover some of the stuff. So that's the way we roll. And thank you again, everybody. And it was really nice to have this session with you. Okay, Lucy, I'll pass it back. Go ahead, please, Monica.
Yeah, and sorry for interrupting, George. I'm just reading the comments here, and Emily has a very good suggestion to everyone. For those who've been able to read the message, she's suggesting that we can all share our profiles so we can follow each other and create traffic on our pages. And this is for networks purposes and to give each other exposure to out there. I think that's a really good suggestion because we are trying to create a tribe here. So George can tell us how to do that.
How to create a tribe? Did you say tribe?
Community.
I like the word tribe though. Tribe not really in the sense of like tribe, but in the sense of we are tribe as in Python tribe. And this is a community. I mean, you have to be passionate about it. If you're not, then you probably want to think twice. But that suggestion, Monica, thank you very much for actually reading that. I didn't see that. And Emily, kudos to you for bringing that forward. So it will always be a good thing to have a community. If you can follow somebody, you'll be able to know what they're doing. You can follow them on GitHub. You can follow them on LinkedIn. You know, I know some people like Facebook. Facebook is okay. Some people like Twitter. Twitter is also available. But just make it such that it's relevant to what you do. Because sometimes when you go out there, especially us here in the outside of Kenya, there's certain things you probably want to be identified with, which might be in the future might not even help you getting a job. So whatever you put in the comment in social media matters. Some of them might not be very well taken by other people, as much as you mean well. So we really also have to be very aware of that. Okay, and again, thanks to Lucy, to Monica, Joseph, and also to Esther for this wonderful time. You gave us the knowledge you have. We are going to go ahead and share this with the world. Please feel free if there's anything, okay, if there's something which we never covered and you think we should have done, or if there's a question you think we need to address, please feel free. Feel free. This is your time so that we can address it. Okay. Like the question which was asked by Sarah, that's a very good question, and I'm sure very many people will be getting that error. So it's good that she brought it up. I've already answered it. It's on the wall. Make sure you read. I know you guys are busy, but make sure you read everything if you can. So this will be very helpful. Okay. All right. And Monica, do you have any other thing to add? Or Lucy? Or Joseph? Or Esther?
George, I have a question for Monica. Monica, will you be sharing the PowerPoint? Because I know it has, so the PowerPoint has some more information on some of the resources you can use to learn, like some of the Git commands and GitHub commands. So I'm not sure if Monica was planning to share it or not.
Yes, I will be sharing the PowerPoint, and yeah, I'll connect with you, Joe, because there is a philosophy here we call marking your documents.
Okay.
So yeah, I will.
All right, that's it very much.
Right.
I'm glad you say that. I thought you were going to say what Jackie said the other time.
No.
I was gonna say that, but
oh man, don't say that. Just say that to us, not everybody else.
yeah, I had to hold myself for that. But anybody who wants to know what Jackie said, you can ping me. I'll tell you the word.
Yeah, that's a very important word.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you guys, and thank you very much for making the time. I have to be in another class in a few minutes, me and Esther. So we really appreciate you, and we are going to work on this video and we share it with you all. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone. George, you say you are proud of us, and we want to say we are very much proud of you too, because you have made us who we are. And everybody else, thank you for joining this call. Make GitHub and LinkedIn your part of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a good party message. Anybody else? Now or forever you keep your peace. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming, and you have a good one.